Do you ever feel like you're two different people? Every morning, one of them gets up, goes to work, smiles, behaves, does what they're supposed to do. The other, they stay quiet. They wonder if they're living the life that they're meant to live. They dream of bigger things that just seem irresponsible, unattainable, so far away. Maybe one of the hardest parts about rebuilding isn't building yourself into something completely brand new. It's deciding which parts of your life you want to renovate and which ones you need to demolish completely. I'm going to lean into a stereotype here for a second. We hear all the time about someone getting to their mid 40s, early 50s, probably going through some type of divorce or traumatic event, and suddenly they're buying a bright red, shiny new sports car. Everybody's whispering behind their back, talking about how they've lost it, and we just call it a midlife crisis. That's legit. Not something that should be discounted. But something I don't think we ever talk about enough is the mid 30s work identity crisis that I think a lot more people go through than we realize. No one talks about finally getting to the point in your life where you're considered successful, but you come home every day and you just think, is this it? But still not being quite successful enough to just take a leap and do something different. I'm definitely there. And it's a huge part of what's led me here. I need to build something outside of work. I need to have an identity outside of work. Let's go ahead and get the small details out the way. My job is stressful. This will probably be the most I talk about specifics of my job because let's be honest, mixing business with social media can be challenging. And I'm not trying to have any problems there. Although, I could tell some stories. Anywho, I manage an extremely busy retail pharmacy. As a store manager, I am right in the middle of being in the corporate world, having to meet those expectations, and still having to connect and build relationships with a team that doesn't always get or understand what I'm dealing with on that side. It's a constant balancing act. The work itself is not exhausting. It's everything that comes with it. Another huge reason I won't talk specifics about my job is because while I run a business, and that's a huge part of me, I'm a human first. And there are things that come with my job that are not easy for a lot of people involved, not just me. I have to sometimes make decisions that are considered good for business that might hurt people. I don't like that. I I can't even begin to describe the pain it brings me to have to bring potential pain to other people. And I would never want to use that as a instance to bring any attention to myself. Especially in an environment where I truly, truly believe most people are truly doing the best they know how to do with the resources that were given to them. So sorry. You will not be getting any funny, cute little retail skits from me. Not at this point in my life, anyway. Little background on me. I grew up in a pretty comfy financial situation. We were not well off by any means, but I never had to do without, and I pretty much had everything material that I could want, especially as a kid growing up. I had all the newest video games. I loved reading. I had the Harry Potter books as soon as they came out. Um, in a sense, I was spoiled. I was also taught that you had to work hard, make money, and provide for those around you. This was, in fact, a huge thing growing up and preached in my household. to the point where it came across as if you weren't making money and providing for your family and making sure everything was perfect at home, then you probably weren't doing something right. For the record, Mom and Dad, if you're listening, I would have traded half of my video games, at least half, and some of my books to have seen y'all relax a little bit more and be a little happier. Just throwing that out there. So growing up, I always knew I wanted to go to college, get some type of fancy degree, probably be a doctor of whatever, and make a difference in the world. I was always drawn to psychology, child development, and really just caring for people around me. I I had the grades, I had the smarts to back it up, and I had the drive, more importantly, to make those dreams come true. I loved school. I loved learning. To this day, I truly hope I never stop learning. However, you could quickly see that my plans changed greatly when I became pregnant at 15. Suddenly, life wasn't about me anymore. It was the constant. What are you going to do? How are you going to provide? You have to at least finish high school. And you got a lot to figure out, kid. Which I did. I did have a lot to figure out. There's definitely no lies detected there. Having my daughter was the greatest thing to ever happen to me. The joy it brings me being a mom is indescribable. In a lot of ways, I'm kind of glad I had her early because she really is my little best friend. Love you, kid. We grew up together. We learned together. And she's such a cool person. So much cooler than I ever was. Are there things I wish I could have done differently had I not had a kid at 16? Yeah, for sure. I think every parent looks back and wishes they could have done something different, regardless of the age that we have kids. I have zero regrets with how everything shaped out since becoming a mom almost 20 years ago. Literally, about this time 20 years ago, I was terrified. Somehow hiding a pregnancy in a bathing suit on the beach at my family vacation, and acting like everything was going to magically be okay. I guess saying that out loud, the avoidant in me really goes back for decades. We love just ignoring issues until they're about to explode. We're definitely going to put that topic in the renovate category for this rebuilding project. Getting to my mid-30s work identity crisis, it was pretty easy from there. I did graduate high school with honors. I got a job at a couple different places before something finally stuck, and was going to the local community college in my local town. At this point, I was going to school for education. I really wanted to be a teacher. That was kind of what I had just finally decided on. I was working full-time at one of the retail pharmacies in town. Started as a cashier. Then I was kind of in this weird in between the front and in between pharmacy position. I was taking a full-time class schedule because that's what you had to do to have financial aid. And found a little single-wide trailer that Kinsey and I were living in that I was paying, I want to say $400 a month for. Wow, how times have changed. As time kept moving, I hated how much time and work I was having to put in outside of my house, away from my daughter. And one day it really hit me that I had gotten to a point with the company I was working with that I was already making more money than teachers in North Carolina make. What was I doing? Why am I still going to school? If the whole point of life is to provide and make money, well, I'm doing that already. So I quit. Now, was that the responsible thing to do? Probably. However, looking back and looking at my daughter now, who's 19, which is ironically the age I was when I quit school, I can't help but think and wonder, what advice would I give Kinsey if she was the one in that situation? Here's what I've learned since then, and then I'll tell you what advice I would give. First, perspective, it changes everything. I want it to be a teacher. I want it to be in a position where I could help move people in a positive direction in life. I want it to be the person who got to watch every time a student had an aha moment, especially when they were doubting themselves. I just want it to be a positive presence in this world. I want it to leave my mark the way certain people have left their mark in my life, because I know the difference one person can make. One good person can literally save your life. If you take nothing away from this video, take that. A smile at a stranger could be the reason they make it to another day. Never underestimate the power of kindness. I beat myself up about dropping out of college for quite a while until I finally had my own aha moment. I realized it didn't matter where I was working or what I was doing. It really didn't. Again, I wanted to teach. So I asked myself, what makes a teacher memorable? It's not knowing how many years they went to school. It's how they made you feel when you were in their classroom. I teach things every day at my job. Sure, the environment definitely looks different, but I can control, to the best of my ability, how someone feels when they clock into work there. To quote Uncle Ben, with great power comes great responsibility. The harder I worked, the greater influence I had. When I finally got to a point where it was my name on the front door, that was something I took seriously. Like a label on your favorite teacher's classroom door, my name there said, "This represents me." And while I might not be able to control everything, I can control how I deliver the lessons and the standards to which I want people to feel when they walk through that door. I couldn't control the standards to which we were asked to meet by corporate. I couldn't control the rules set in place, the limitations on what I could or could not do, but I could control the delivery. That perspective change has led me to be fairly successful. When your team is happier, you get better results, just all the way around. It doesn't mean every conversation is covered in sunshine and rainbows. That would be impossible in this job. One of the biggest lessons in management for me came when I was still an assistant. I would be so afraid to upset someone if they were doing something incorrectly. I avoided conflict like it was the plague. And I would tell myself, I care too much to hurt this person in any way. And I know that's how they're going to take it. Even when a lot of the time, it was just a conversation, just a lesson. Something that is hard for us to realize in life is that sometimes showing someone that you really care is literally stopping to put in the time with them and give them that tough feedback. I can't say I care about my team if I'm not willing to sit with them and give them the tough feedback. I have to be able to have the tough conversations. This doesn't mean every story has a happy ending in the sense that you think it does. If you're a math teacher, sometimes you're going to find people that just don't get math. That's okay. How are you helping them find the thing that they do get? How are you setting them up for success in math, if that's the subject they choose to stay in, that it's going to give them the best results? Where are they happy? Because where they're happy, the results will follow. This has been my driving force in my career. And for me, it's worked. For a while, that was enough. So, what's changed? To put it simply, I have. I am not the 20-something-year-old that is getting through life by keeping other people happy anymore. Those little bursts of dopamine when I make someone feel good, they only go so far. And here I am, stuck right in the middle of tearing down my walls to reshape my home. After my last divorce, that strong desire to do everything right, fair, and good by all others was basically gone. It had been demolished. Where had it gotten me at that point in my life? Going through a second divorce, lost, confused, not understanding how I could put so much love out into the world and still have so little love to show for it in return. I felt like a comet in people's lives. It was something that came around, was exciting, looked pretty, made you feel good for a second, and then I'm gone. And I had nothing. My divorce led me to some of the greatest revelations about myself. It was never, ever going to matter how happy I made other people if I was miserable. It was never going to matter how safe I made others feel if I couldn't be vulnerable and be myself. Now, that's not to say I have not made a positive difference, but what difference could I have made if I was happy? To what extreme would the happy, free loving Allison go to make a difference in this world? And while true happiness is still something I'm working really hard to find, I feel slightly closer to myself every day. So, what advice would I give my daughter if she was me 19 years ago? It'd probably be this: if you have to change the route, make sure you still take the scenic route. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do, where you go, it matters who you are. The only thing you could do in that moment is make the decision that you feel like is best for you and those closest to you. How you move from there is completely on you. And when all else fails, move with kindness and never forget to move in a way that honors yourself and brings you happiness too. That's where you'll find the best version of yourself that also brings out the best in others. Looking back and thinking about the renovation project that we're in, I likely would have still gone the same direction. And I'm thankful for where I'm at. My career has changed my life in so many ways that I am so grateful for. What I would have done differently is this: I would have still done things that were good for me too. I would have done more to keep me happy. I love being creative. I love writing. I love journaling. Just really anything artistic um, just makes me happy. So, why did I not do those things for so many years? Literal years. Maybe if I had kept writing in the background, maybe I would have a different path to choose from right now. Maybe it would have opened doors that aren't currently open. I'll never know. I only get to choose which room in the house to go to next, which room to rebuild, and which one has maybe had enough specialized focus for a while. Let me know in the comments something that you truly love doing that you wish you did more of. If nothing was stopping you, what would you be doing? Who would you be? Let me know. Thanks for listening today, and I hope to see you again next time on the Rebuild Project.